The other day I posted this video where I talk about how it took me years after my divorce to finally discover that I was married to a covert narcissist. And this lady asked me in the comments, how did you deal with the lies and the abuse and all the years lost? And the answer to that is, at first, I didn't. Towards the end of our marriage, when I started unraveling things and uncovering some major lies, I was completely shell-shocked. And then once we got divorced and I started understanding that he was living a double life, it was overwhelming. Back then, I did not take the time and emotional bandwidth to unpack all of that. Not to mention, not long after our divorce, I became a solo parent. So I chose to tuck it away and to move on with life. But with that being said, I did do a lot of reading and self-development work, and I listened to podcasts and psychologists, and I hit the gym and I did yoga, all of which was very helpful and instrumental in helping me through those first initial years. But you can read every self-development book out there. You can listen to podcasts and hit the gym and have all of these healthy means of coping. But until you have an honest look and assess the damage that was done and allow yourself to feel the gravity and the hurt of that situation, you're only deferring the real healing. And it will eventually come to the surface. It will manifest itself in physiological ways. So fast forward to 3 years ago. I would wake up in the middle of the night being lightheaded while simultaneously having a headache. I was having heart palpitations. My hands were tingling and numb. So over the course of the next 2 years, I went from middle of the night ER visits to 3 different sleep specialists and multiple overnight sleep studies. And they did find a mild form of sleep apnea, but it was sporadic. And then I went from there to 2 different cardiologists running multiple tests there, but they came back and couldn't find anything abnormal. But I knew there was something wrong. I knew there was more to the story. And at this point, feeling really frustrated and defeated, I decided to try one more option, which was to seek out a psychologist. In that intake appointment, I gave her a little bit of my background and talked about my childhood experiences and being raised by a narcissistic parent. Then I gave her some insights as to my marriage and my divorce and being married to a covert narcissist, which I later discovered. And then I started telling her about my sleep disturbances. And at the end of that appointment, she looked at me and she said, "You very clearly have complex PTSD." And I took a moment to let that sink in. I didn't see that within myself. I thought that PTSD and CPTSD were reserved for Army veterans or someone that had been through catastrophic life events. I think we greatly underestimate the severity of narcissistic abuse. If you've been raised by a narcissistic parent or you've been in a relationship with one, that is enduring systematic verbal, physical, financial, psychological, and emotional abuse. And around the same time I got into therapy, I also started reading The Body Keeps the Score. And about a month into my sessions and some EMDR work, my sleep disturbances subsided. To finally unpack everything and to communicate the hurt and the injustices, to emotionally expel and do EMDR work was difficult, but it was cathartic. I think for many of us, the last thing we want to do is re-experience that pain and that suffering, so we suppress it. But it doesn't go away, it just goes dormant, and it will resurface in some form. The real healing comes in facing it and feeling it.